Good day, wherever you may be, or wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. Here, at this moment in time, it is mid-morning. It's not too sad. It'll definitely tell the season has changed. I do apologise again about the shortage of videos. Literally just done in the last couple of days, 11 days in a row of a lot of work, and haven't had much time apart from recuperation from each shift I've done to catch up. So it's nice to finally make a video, and as I've said in the past, I would like to make them more regular, perhaps maybe one a week, and as I've not had much time to even, I'm working on thumbnails at the moment, but I've not had that much time to do so. So, well, unfortunately they'll be done when they're done, and then I'll move on to something a bit more advanced to bring the best to these videos for all you guys that are watching them. I do appreciate your viewership. Today's video is about something that unfortunately you can't get anymore, but this company, if they can make a buck, will always do something and increase the price point. You can probably still get this on the second-hand market. However, I bought this on the first market, so I got this brand new. This is an art book about, well, Warhammer, more or less. You have probably heard it, and they're probably now saying, "Oh no, not enough of Warhammer aficionado." This channel is not going to be one of those channels. I appreciate and enjoy Warhammer. I have for the last 20 to 30 odd years. I did have a break for about 10 years because real life got in the way. I know quite a lot of people that play it in its various forms, as there's 3 to 4 different formats in which you can play it in the setting. So it literally all came together, I suppose, when I was about 12, quite a long time ago, when the company was a UK only company, UK based company, and it bought out stuff nice and slowly. So its release schedules were like maybe X amount of models a month, but nothing crazy. Back in the day, they were mostly metal. You could get plastic, but plastic side of things were, shall we say, in early development at that time. It's come a long way since then. Unfortunately, the price point is extortionate these days. The main places, if you wish to start the hobby, is possibly the secondary market or a discount retailer, because the price point is insane. The amount of stuff they bring out is just a lot for a new person. If you're starting off from there, you'd want to be gently guided into the so-called hobby. You wouldn't want to be, I mean, no disrespect to the staff that work for Games Workshop or Warhammer stores as they're called now, and no disrespect to the company, they're a business, they're trying to make money, but it's a very, very, very steep to get into. During the lockdown, a lot of people got into the hobby, but they made a lot of mistakes during that time. The company itself, not the employees working for the company. This is by no means a slight on those employees, as they work quite tirelessly in those stalls, and most of the time it's only them in the store who will only too gladly explain each of the systems to you. But the place I live in now, the local store, is pretty good. I can't slight in any way, and I don't like slighting people because it's not a nice thing to do, and that's not what this channel's about. So getting back to the focus, this is where it all began. So this is set in the 31st millennium, so a long period of time in the future. This is the setting for a massive civil war that brought the human race almost to extinction. So, but caused by nefarious forces. I probably will do a deep dive video, but at the moment this is about this. There are about 60 odd novels covering each element from the very beginning of the heresy, and I think they've got to the very end of the heresy now as well. So at one point I was keeping up, but I got to book 20 something, and then I think I lost interest, because as many as there's good ones, there's also some honkers, and the honkers are not that great, unfortunately. But I digress. That's not about those novels. That is about this artwork. Now, this is an abridged version of the Horus Heresy, if you believe it or not. But it's the artwork. The artwork is pretty good. I mean, just for example, the sort of main protagonist of who had loyalist forces which were for Earth, and then the traitor forces of Master Horus. As the Horus Heresy, the reason it's called the Horus Heresy is he managed to turn, based on the 20 legions, just like the Roman models, for example, of armies that they had access to, and he more or less split in half the Imperium, if you like, the fledgling Imperium, because they were going out on a great crusade to reunite lots of worlds that humanity had colonised many years before and subsequently lost contact with these worlds, and there's going out to reclaim these worlds and to bring them back into the fold. But it's just a lot of interesting imagery of all the different forces. This is a faction called the Mechanicum, which is more or less giving themselves over to, mechanical, digital modifications to themselves, who see their belief system of God as a machine rather than a person or a being. Many pictures. A lot of these were made for a card game at the particular time, but they did have a hell of a lot of art. I do apologise for using that word, but as time progressed, probably would do a more fuller one of some of the art in this, but this gives you the outline of the story to the heresy. I would definitely recommend, if you can get your hands on this, if you're interested enough, definitely get a copy. It's probably not cheap these days, because, as I've said, they've made a follow-up to this, but this covers all the sort of major events, quite a lot of tragedies, as it would be interesting if there wasn't certain tragedies and certain events of the heresy. They're basically leaders of 20 factions, and Horus, being one of the leaders of these factions, managed to split them in half. So, as you can imagine, a civil war is never a pretty thing in any shape or form. I'll show you a few more images. I don't really have any favourite images in here particularly. I mean, it just gives you an idea of the scale and the size of these things. I mean, in this picture, that vessel, like a cathedral in space basically, because that's the biggest criticisms they do get for their methods of travelling vast distances. Their FTL version or faster than light technology is using warp, something called the warp, which is a sub-dimension to get from one A to B in a fraction of the time that it would take to get there by traditional methods. Unfortunately, once upon a time the warp was a fine, but by this time, because of the fall of another alien race, the warp has become very dangerous to travel. It is filled with raw emotion, and unfortunately some of this raw emotion has become predatory creatures that will attack anything that they see fit to attack if it's in their realm. Some worlds can be consumed by the entire this dimension and come out as crazed, insane, demon-infested places. Demons do exist in this particular universe, and the demons can be very, very detrimental. They're based on the Chaos Gods. The Chaos Gods started the Horus Heresy. They had somebody who knew of them but didn't know how far the rabbit hole went, turn Horus. So that entire legion were zealots in the first place. They had an event where every world that they brought into the Imperium would all be religious zealots, proclaiming the Emperor, because the Emperor is the entire leader of mankind, as a god rather than just a leader. And the Emperor was not particularly happy about this because he wanted all religion removed, which is kind of, there's a bitter irony, because by the time of the events of the 41st millennium, he is seen as God, but that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about the 31st millennium. So, as to be honest, the Emperor was one of these characters that should have known what was going to happen, because he was that type of person. He was perpetual, which in that universe is somebody that's practically immortal. Anyhow, he did all this things. So there was this planet called Marcaria, which he had burnt to the ground. He had every city destroyed by another legion. So he brought this entire legion to that planet to watch what they'd done being torn down and destroyed. Instead of, what he should have done is he should have possibly punished them, but not in that way. Hence the reason they, from that day forward, they didn't see the Emperor as a god anymore, and turned away and turned towards chaos, and that corrupted the entire legion. And then they went on forth to the Lunar Wolves, which is Horus's legion, and corrupted them, and they became the Sons of Horus. And then these legions, hundreds of thousands of warriors strong, pitted across each other in the universal combat. The big problem with it is the fleets. They had entire fleets with these forces, so we weren't only having these so-called super soldiers called Space Marines that were all genetically engineered to be the perfect killing machine, if you like, or perfect war machine, as it were. They weren't just mindless, although some of them do lose themselves later on, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, I digress. A massive galactic spanning civil war. I might do some deep dives, but as I said before, I do not want this to become a Warhammer channel, because this is not a Warhammer channel. There are too many other creators doing such things, and personally it's definitely worth having a look at. Even if you can borrow a copy, just have a look. It's worth it. The artwork is pretty good. It's not too sad. It covers the events, or the main key events of that conflict as the conflict lasted about 9 years, and well, it is across the entire Milky Way galaxy, so it's not just one or two planets. It is entire galactic scale conflict. If you are interested, you don't have to invest yourself into the hobby. You can always get the novels from the Black Library. The first 3 novels I definitely recommend, because that covers from when they were working for the Emperor all the way to when they got betrayed, and there was a massacre on a particular world called Istavan, which is quite a major turning point in the conflict, and is also the basis for Warhammer 40,000. Warhammer 40,000 came out in 1987, so it's been around a long time. It's done a lot in that time. The literature is quite rich. Back in 1987 it wasn't so rich as it is now. There is so much lore. It's a lot to keep up with. I think the reason I stopped reading the Heresy novels was like approaching burnout, because the problem was there's some brilliant novels in that whole series, but there's some awful novels in there too, and the awful novels kind of shimmied away at myself. And it's also nice to read something different, as pointed out with the Babylon 5 books, and I'm still battling my way through the current one. I am starting to remember bits of it, but I can't remember everything from it. Anyway, you can dip a toe into something called Lexicon. I'll see if I can find the link and add that in the description. Lexicon pretty much is an unofficial Warhammer wiki. It's like a Wikipedia, if you like, but it covers characters. It covers so much. There's so much to it. It's mind blowing, because the amount of time that people have taken. I mean the amount of war, law, and the art and everything else is a nice thing. And if you like it just for that, just do that. I would very. It can be a great hobby, and it can be a great lot of fun, because it's a war game. So you do have to put together basically toy soldiers. I don't know the term, but that is exactly what it is. You can go by paint. You can paint them whatever colour you want, or paint them as something suggested. You can do all sorts of things. The customizable side of it is there's a whole entire fan base, and there's some very, very gifted individuals out there who, artistry wise, of what they paint is next level. And there's not just one or two. There's lots of them. I'd say that's the good side of humanity, in the way that they all come together to do something and show to us that some of the things they can turn into a work of art, which would be just great for everybody to look at. But I digress. Thank you for watching my video. As I've said before, please like and subscribe, and this is 46 out. Thank you. Have a great day.